now, Ralph has asked the question. We kind of answered it. What was your, well,
Yes.
maybe not. What was your inspiration to join Miss Earth Australia? Because we said it was kind of on a whim. And
Yeah.
what is your advocacy? Which is a good thing because I was going to ask you that. So, what was your inspiration and
Perfect.
what is your advocacy?
So when I first joined in 2019, as I mentioned, I didn't know anything about pageants. I just wanted to do something to get me outside of my comfort zone and sort of
Mm,
grow me more. So I just literally Googled Australian pageants and applied for any that were open. Miss Earth happened to get back to me first, but I remember as applying, I'm like, oh, this is actually what I'm studying. This is great.
yeah.
This would be perfect. And then as I was doing the pageant, I was reading more about it. I'm like, oh, this pageant is actually really, really cool. And I love what it's about. And then I learned more about the other pageants like Universe and World.
Mm,
And I'm like, okay, if I was to do another pageant, I'd probably still do Miss Earth because even if I joined the other ones, I'd still be advocating for the environment because
yeah.
that is what I'm so passionate about. Like I'm dedicating my whole life to it pretty much, like with my studies and then wanting to get into politics to push for more environmental legislation. So Miss Earth was like a sort of really great starting point and launching pad for that. And then my advocacy this year is based on the acronym ACE, which stands for Action, Care and Education. Usually when people pick advocacies, it's something specific like water conservation
Yeah.
or replanting forests. And that is all super, super great. But with what I've studied, I've found that everything is sort of very much connected like a spider's web. And so, if you make one change in the environment, it doesn't just affect that one sector, it sort of has
Mm,
ripple out effects and affects a lot of different sectors. And so I sort of wanted to encapsulate that all in my advocacy. And so with ACE, these are the three most important things that people need to be doing to help with the climate crisis. So action obviously is one of the most important ones, and that's, getting out there, voting or protesting for change or just planting a tree or, anything that's an action that's working
mm,
towards helping the planet. Care, this is really special because care is reconnecting with nature and finding that love for it, because if you're not connected to nature, if you're not seeing it every day, if you're not impacted by it, then it's hard to fight for something that you feel like you're not connected to or there's no reason to. So even just spending like 5 minutes in a park or 5 minutes just outside looking at, I don't know, the clouds each day, just to help ground you and just to be grateful and to remember that, nature is what gives us life.
mm.
Without nature, we don't have food, we don't have air, we don't have water. It is all the biodiversity and all of the beautiful, beautiful, mysterious magic of the ecosystems that is keeping us alive and well and how we can still live today. So to be able to have that connection and find that connection, because everybody has one, whether
Yeah.
it even just be like, oh, I really love strawberries. That's a connection to nature because strawberries come from nature. So if that's what you care about and that's what you want to protect, then that's still a connection to the environment. And then
Awesome.
education is the third one. And education is knowing what, why, and how, because without the proper education, some of the action that we do could actually be more detrimental than
Hmm.
helpful. So before we take any action, we first need to be educated or at least have an understanding of why we're taking that action and what that will mean and what the consequences are. So this includes for politicians, for instance, or for world leaders, consulting experts, because sometimes world leaders don't have all the answers because it is such a complicated spider
Yeah.
webby topic. You need to have that education there. You don't necessarily have to know it, but just knowing where to find it and be able to, bring that all in so that you can make a better informed decision. And so that's ACE. And so with all of those three things, we can ace climate conservation.